Today I'm going to do what I've actually been looking forward to for quite some time, which is build a set of ramps. I'm going to build some 10-foot foldable ramps. Just went and picked up about 50 feet of 120 wall 1x2, and then I got another 24 feet of 1x1 that I'll use for the slats, and I'm going to just start chopping everything up and welder and painter, and actually been looking forward to this for a while, so here we go. So I went and bought some steel. This stuff was pretty darn heavy, so let me tell you, I'm glad that this is going to be divided up between two ramps, because it's actually carrying it over here was a lot heavier than I was guessing. I've also got this chunk of 3/8 plate left over. This will be used for the hinging mechanism as a bit of a stop so that it can't keep hinging, and then I'll reinforce each side of the hinge with some of that stuff too. So luckily my plasma cutter and welder are both rated for 3/8 as kind of their max thickness, so I have cut and welded a bunch with them, and I was very happy, very pleasantly surprised. I'll just show you my setup here. So I've got a Hypotherm 30 XP. I've also got a Miller 211, or Miller-Matic 211. This is my trusty little chop saw. This is a hem saw. It doesn't require any cutting fluid. So anyways, that's my basic setup for this. Like I said, I've been looking forward to this project for quite some time. So gonna start doing some measurements and chopping stuff up, and away we go. All right, so before I get too carried away here, I got to just try laying out the first section of ramp and see, you know, how realistic this is going to be. I had initially planned on doing 12-inch wide ramps, but I was actually just looking at the tires, and they're 29.5 by 10. So, you know, a 12-inch wide ramp would probably be fine, but honestly, you know, making them maybe 14 or 16 wide is probably a bit of a better idea. So I might not have enough steel now. So I've got this set at 14 inches from inside to inside, which makes for a total of about 16 inches wide. So I think that's probably what I'm going to go with. My cross bars, or the slats, or whatever you want to call them, those are actually just going to be out of 1x1, this stuff here. So what I'm thinking is maybe put those on the ground, and then have it so there's a little bit of a sidewall on each side. With those big knobby tires, I don't think that 1 inch of that's really going to make a huge difference, but it might just help sliding off one day or something. So I think I'm going to go with that. If it means I got to go get some more steel, then so be it. I'm trying to make this ramp set a bit on the beefy side in case maybe we use them for a side-by-side down the road or something, but those are pretty decent. So I got the two bottom chunks done now, that one and this one, and then I've got the parts already pre-cut for the top half. Alright, I got 8 of these little things cut. This is 1/4 inch bar stock, 2 inch by 1 inch pieces, and what I'm going to do is cap the ends these are going to be resting against each other, and I don't want them to get all dinged up and bent in and, you know, whatever. So I'm going to cap the ends of those and just try and make them nice and solid. Okay, so I've been trying to come up with a hinge system for this. I drew up a whole bunch of different things. It's a little bit awkward as it's just sort of a paper template, but each of these pieces of paper will be transferred over into 3/8 plate, and there will be one of these pieces on each side of the piece of metal. So basically, it should be able to fold over on itself pretty good. These ends are obviously capped on the actual ramps, so them going against each other will sort of be the stop. And then I'll also take some 3/8 plate off of the bottom one and make a tab that goes out here, so as this is coming in, it'll hit against this, and that'll also be a support to just take some of the pressure off, just all shear strength on the bolt breaking. So I feel pretty good about that. I'm sure there's all sorts of different ways to do it, but I'm going to go ahead and pull the plasma cutter out and start cutting some pieces and tack her up and see how it works in real life. Hopefully I can have these things welded up today. I really want to go riding tomorrow, so I might take them out and try them before I paint them, just in case I have to cut anything. Oh my God. Is that one of my 10 mil wrenches? Oh, shh. Ah, that's every single time. So there's been a couple of changes. Once you see them in actual steel, you realize things needed to be a bit different. So I made them a bit too long and had to trim them all down. So what I'm going to do is on the top rung I'll have one on the inside of each, and then on the bottom ramp I'll have one on the outside of each, and then I'll have a grade 8 bolt going between them, and then hopefully that will be a solid hinge, and then I'll have to put a piece across stopping it from flipping over too, just as an added little safety. Alright, well I have to say I am very happy with how these hinges turned out. Everything is just super strong. This is all 3/8 plate, you know, lots of welds, and everything is beefy, and I've got grade 8 bolts with those nylock nuts on there. It moves very smoothly, has a real solid lock to it. Sorry, it's hard to show one-handed, but yeah, very happy with those. Alright, well I went to the steel shop yesterday, or the metal shop, and got some 3/8 thick 5-inch flat bar and just cut out my final 4 brackets. I'm just about to drill them. I just have to say, now obviously, you know, there's some people, I mean, I didn't use straight edges. This is all just handheld. And obviously having a plasma cutter is going to be, or a CNC plasma table is going to be just wonderful. Bit of a bobble there. But I just am so impressed with this plasma cutter I have here. I mean, like I say, this is all just 100% freehand. And, you know, considering that they say it's rated for 3/8, I mean, for that to be the maximum thickness, you know, I didn't have to really go even that slow. And, you know, I just can't say enough about this Hypotherm 30XP. This thing really is quite a little workhorse. Anyways, I'm going to start drilling these out. So I'm drilling these holes out in 3 stages. And my final stage is 1/2 inch. They're 1/2 inch bolts, and I want them nice and snug, so I actually have to tap them with a mallet to get them in the holes. It's working out pretty good so far. Dirty diesel motor oil on there, and here we go. Well, got the hinges all cut, drilled, and cleaned up a little bit. Went around with the grinder and just knocked all the worst of the marks from the plasma cutter, and that'll be just fine. Now it's time to start putting them on the ramps and tacking them together and do a little test drive with it and go from there. Okay, I've got these tacked up. I'm gonna flip it over and try to just cycle through them. I did it with just the bolts on there. Ideally, you would have a piece of threaded rod or something go through both hinges just to keep them on the same plane. But the only one I had was a little bit bent, and this seemed to work fine on the other one. So just a few tacks, and now I'm gonna try and cycle through it a few times and see how it works. Not creaking or groaning or anything like that. Yeah, everything seems to be going well. Still need to do all the welding and then put the stopper plates that weld to this side and just hang over the edge. But seems good. It's kind of hard to show this, but I mean, they're cycling very nicely. Everything seems firm and solid, and gonna just continue on. So this one's done. This is the second ramp. It did not go as smoothly as the first one, I'll tell you that, but after a bunch of fiddling around and a bit of grinding, it is there, and I'm sure it's every bit as strong. Next up, I've got to make the little hooks that will poke off the top and make it so that they sit on the tailgate. Alright, so I've cut out these pieces. These are going to weld on the end of the ramp, and then on the skinny part, that'll weld to the ramp. And then the outside part is just a little bit wider to hopefully grip the tailgate. I'm also going to weld on the underside of these. I'll weld a little tab across here like this, and then weld that on just to help grip the curve of the tailgate a little bit. So you can see here this little groove in the tailgate. I'll weld the pieces on kind of like that, just so that they sort of hook in there a little bit. Whenever I'm using these, I will also be ratchet strapping them to the bumper just to stop them from sliding off, but she's getting close. Can't wait to give them a try. Well, there's the finished product. As you can see, I got that tab welded in there just to help hook the tailgate a little bit. She's all welded up all the way around. And aside from a bit of wire wheeling and painting, this thing is done. So I'm just about to go on to the second one now. I'll tell you, they are definitely not winning any lightest ATV ramp in the world awards, but to be honest with you, I don't care. I'm happy to have something that's solid. If we ever upgrade to a side-by-side or something down the road, or God only knows what kind of project I might get into, maybe like a little lightweight sort of rock buggy or whatever. I mean, these things should be plenty strong for whatever I throw at them, so can't wait to try it out. So here's the last two pieces welded up. I like to cut shapes out like this freehand. That includes the straight edges and stuff. I mean, they're a little quirky. I'm sure you know, it could be a little bit tighter with some with like using a metal guide, but I just feel like it's a skill that I'd like to have, to be able to just kind of freehand random shapes and cut them out. Well, I don't know what the heck I was thinking, but as you can see, those two end pieces are completely crooked. I measured wrong on the first one, or the top one here, so I'll put it on there and try it. I might cut that off. That is a lot of welding and or grinding and whatnot, though. I got these ones done and decided to splurge and make them the same length sticking out. So anyways, time to give them a try. Well, she's flexing a little bit, but I think it's probably going to be just fine. Things seem to be good. Obviously, when I'm using it in real life, I'll put some tie downs from there back to the bumper just to make sure they can't flip out on me. it's probably about a week later or so, I decided to trim that one down and just welded it all the way around. It feels like it's pretty strong. I've used these a couple times now. I went and did a quick paint job on them. I had some primer and some engine enamel kicking around, although as you can see, just with them bouncing around on each other in the back and sliding around and stuff, I mean, the paint job is already definitely being put through its paces. But the reality is I just want to try and avoid as much rust as possible. So anyways, they definitely seem to be working just fine. They are a little bit heavy, as I was a bit concerned with, but they're pretty manageable all in all. As you can see, the tires are really doing their number on the paint as well here, but again, you know, that's fine. I just need something on there just to keep the worst of the rust off. So anyways, that was a really fun little project. I had wanted to do that for quite some time, and really glad to have it done now. I am very much looking forward to going out and using this quad a whole bunch. I got the new stator installed, and this thing is back up and running, so I'm pretty pumped about that. I went and got a bunch of stuff for some new battery terminals. I got some really nice double wall shrink tubing, bunch of 1/0 cable. I'm not sure what the exact strand count is, but it should be pretty high. It's a welding cable. Looks pretty good. Also got a post cleaner and some nice military terminals, and then a bunch of these ring ends. And in the next video, I will be making some new terminals where I fill these cups up with solder and keep it all kind of molten hot. And then once I have the wire peeled back, you kind of stab it into the molten metal or into the molten solder, and then put shrink tubing on, and that's just to try and make a nice new set of cables. So the last time that I took the quad out for a ride, or tried to, the transmission in my 12 valve right now is hunting really bad, meaning it's jumping in and out of overdrive and trying to hop around all sorts of different gears. So it's not really drivable at the moment, and I started doing some research trying to figure out what the solution is to that, and a lot of people say it's electrical issues and that you need to make sure you have clean grounds and that sort of stuff. So I started going through to try and determine what part was bad, and I mean, these battery cables are just absolutely disgusting. You can see that corrosion in there, and this one, same thing. I mean, these are just horrible ends, and I've been putting this side off for quite some time, so I am responsible for some of this mess. The fuel pump, the lift pump, is scabbed on here, and this is the wire for the amp. But what I've been planning on doing is putting like a nice power distribution box in here, and you know, these wires were like this when I got the truck, but I mean, these cables are just absolutely disgusting. So I can't even begin to start looking at good battery grounds and stuff until I, you know, get these things replaced. So this is going to be the next project on here. I also have a bit of an announcement coming up on the Dakota. I'm going to be starting to jump into that project a lot more in the near future. And then I would say one of the next videos coming up will be taking this thing out in the bush and cruising around. I am long overdue for some fun with this vehicle. So anyways, just want to say thanks for watching. That was a really fun little project. And I've got a few different styles of videos that I can work on. And, you know, leave a comment. Let me know. Do you want to see projects on the Dakota or the Xterra, putting solid axles on that? Or working on the 12 valve and getting all its little issues cleaned up, or more metalworking stuff, or whatever you're interested in. Just drop me a comment down below and let me know what kind of stuff you want to see. So anyways, just want to say thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and ring the notification bell. And anyways, hope to see you again. Have a good day.